Post-training notice. National First-Class Registered Exorcist. Chapter 53. Temptation. Zhi Ziaduo's head spun dizzily, and Xiang Cheng supported him as they leapt into the air. The two of them plummeted down, falling into an abandoned minecart. Qi Wei came rushing up behind them, grabbed onto the edge of the cart, and vaulted into it. The minecart rumbled, and as if it was a roller coaster, it sped up, carrying them down the slope. Yaa behind them came the echo of Lei Guangxi's voice. "What kind of mine is this?" Qi Wei asked. "A coal mine, probably," Zhi Ziaduo replied. "Underneath virgin forests, there's always a lot of coal in the mountains." The minecart's speed was not fast, and it turned a corner along the tracks. After that great shock, and since there weren't any bats chasing after them, Zhi Ziaduo said with fear lingering in his voice, "You're so hot." "It burns money," Xiang Cheng said to Zhi Ziaduo. "That must have burnt at least 3,000. Zhi Ziaduo began to laugh loudly, saying, "That was truly too magnificent, same level as that of a forbidden spell." Xiang Cheng replied easily. "Xiang Cheng, Qi Wei." From far behind came Zhou Wanyuan's voice. Xiang Cheng didn't pay any attention to that, studying his surroundings warily. "Here!" Qi Wei shouted for him. Zhi Ziaduo asked him, "Are we heading into the cavern?" Xiang Cheng replied. "According to the wind speed, we can estimate that this is a very deep cavern. If we're lucky, we'll be able to pass through the middle of the mountain." "Qi Wei, my guess is that this should be a concealed path." Xiang Cheng didn't speak. Zhi Ziaduo asked Qi Wei, "Could it be that even this path through the mine cavern was set up beforehand by the exorcism committee?" Qi Wei asked in reply, "Didn't you notice that when we were taking shelter from the rain in the cavern, the dirt that had sealed up the entrance to the mine was fresh?" Zhi Ziaduo replied, "But it could also be that the teachers were leading you astray on purpose." "That's right," Xiang Cheng said. "Which is why we can only take a gamble. It's best to make prudent decisions." Chen Zhen's minecart caught up, before gradually slowing down. In principle, the further the distance needed to travel, the lower the possibility of needing to fight. Choosing a shortcut means that the risk of battle has increased. "Every path poses the same level of risk," Zhou Wanyuan said as her minecart caught up as well. "My dad is the kind of person who won't give you an easy practical exam. If he doesn't give you a cave-in on the longer route, then he'll give you a landslide. If you don't fight monsters, then you'll have to solve riddles, and I'd rather fight monsters." "Did he design the labyrinth?" Xiang Cheng was a little taken aback. Zhou Wanyuan replied, "The routes are not set up in his style. He was in charge of the last corrections and making sure that the intensity and difficulty of each route were accounted for." "I wish for less action," Chen Zhen said, letting out a breath. "I'd rather take the longer route and solve some riddles instead. Let's rest for a moment." "Xiang Cheng, protect us for a bit." Kita glanced at his glow-in-the-dark watch, and he replied, "It's only 11. "I'm scouting," Xiang Cheng replied, before heading into the depths of the passageway with Zhi Ziaduo. Everyone took this opportunity to rest. After leaving the group behind, Xiang Cheng turned once more, only to see a tunnel that led even deeper in. He lit a cigarette, but only sucked in one breath of it. The smoke ring drifted behind the two of them, expanding, before forming a small cloud of fog, which condensed behind their shoulders. With that, Xiang Cheng gestured for Zhi Ziaduo to stand in front of him, with his back to Xiang Cheng and his face to the depths of the cavern. A hand came from behind and snaked over to cover his right eye, and Xiang Cheng lowered his head, quietly saying into his ear, "Try it. See what you can see, but make sure you keep your voice down." Zhi Ziaduo steadied his breathing, and he widened his left eye. "I can't see," Zhi Ziaduo said, turning his head. His breaths mingled with Xiang Cheng's, and his gaze flicked to his lips. In the depths of the passageway, Xiang Cheng's eyes reflected the bit of green light coming from JIXIAN's eye. His voice was low, but held a bit of magnetic attraction in it. Gather your concentration in your third eye chakra, Xiang Cheng said very quietly, almost in a hiss. His voice was a little hoarse. Merge yourself with your surroundings. Imagine that you are the world, you are a part of nature. Suddenly, JIXIAN felt as if he was being seduced, especially when Xiang Cheng spoke into his ear. That tone held a little bit of icy coldness and a need for control. But within that iciness was a unique, dangerous, seductive tone, which caused his heart to ripple, as if he had no way to control himself. That was darkness, that was evil, that was a kind of power that touched right upon the most secret, hidden part of the human heart. That was like a seductive promise, yet it was also like a silent shadow, seeping into the depths of his heart. JIXIAN gently kissed Xiang Cheng's lips. Xiang Cheng watched him fixedly. JIXIAN pecked his lips again, and Xiang Cheng began to kiss him in earnest, grabbing him by the waist. That thing between his legs was so hard that it was completely straight, and it pressed against him from behind, rubbing gently against him through the material of their pants. Let's figure out a way to leave this place first. With great effort, Xiang Cheng managed to control himself. We'll talk after we get back. JIXIAN hurriedly covered his right eye, looking out through his left eye. Teacher Zheng taught me a symbol, JIXIAN said, but I don't quite know how to use it. N. Xiang Cheng hugged JIXIAN's waist from behind, hooking his chin over his shoulder, intently listening to him speaking. He then turned his attention to his ear, looking at JIXIAN's childish side profile, before asking, "What did you see?" After JIXIAN undid that symbol, he looked all around him. With his dragon pupil, he dimly saw a few things, but they were all very blurry. There's a ball, JIXIAN said quietly. SHH, Xiang Cheng said very quietly. Not that, that's an observation spirit that the examiners sent out. Don't mention it, look forward. There are many things ahead of us, JIXIAN said. A bunch of glittering green things. Describe them, Xiang Cheng said. JIXIAN used his dragon pupil to look in that direction, and it looked as if there were hundreds of thousands of jellyfish floating in the air. But calling them jellyfish wasn't quite accurate either, they were a kind of special, translucent glowing form, and it looked like there was a circle of eyes on them that looked like a set of inlaid beads. The beads could even turn in all directions, and underneath the beads was a mouth gaping wide open. They looked a little like heads floating in the air, but the heads trailed a set of revolving tentacles. In the dark, quiet night, they flew in all directions. JIXIAN described the scene in front of his eyes, before he suddenly remembered that he had seen this before in a book, but he couldn't remember it clearly. Xiang Cheng hadn't seen them before either, and he said, they should be a kind of subterranean spirit that lies between a Yao and a devil. JIXIAN suddenly remembered something, and he said, the earth vein. Yes. The earth vein. Is there any danger? Xiang Cheng asked. As JIXIAN spoke, he began to remember more and more. He explained to Xiang Cheng, these are all Hunpo in the earth vein. My guess is that when they were digging the mine, they managed to dig through the dirt until they hit the earth vein. The earth vein is very shallow here, and the flow under this region of the Arkan Mountains is especially rapid. The earth vein is just like a river, and when it turns a corner, it will send up splashes of water, which will give birth to these. I understand, Xiang Cheng replied. It's possible that many incidents have happened here before. JIXIAN, replying, a lot of occult films from Europe and America describe that in the depths of the earth, for example, in a mine, in the layer where a subterranean river flowed, a hole broke open from hell, and resentful spirits all come out from there. In reality, that's not the case, but the situations that they ran into were similar to what is here in this mine. Xiang Cheng gestured for JIXIAN to turn back around. ******. I don't know. Kita was currently describing his own encounter with the supernatural to their group. I only had this dream once. What did you dream about? JIXIAN asked curiously. He dreamed that he was viewing things from a bystander's standpoint, Qi Wei repeated. Throughout the entire thing, he watched a chicken grow from small to large, before finally being sent away by the poultry farm to be slaughtered. So pitiful, Kita said. Without knowing anything, in the dream, I even shed tears out of sympathy. Zhou Wanyuan. A chicken's heart devil, Chen Zhen said understandingly. Very strange. Sometimes, small, weak animals are very pitiful, because they don't have the power to determine their own fates. Kita was very sympathetic towards a chicken that had grown from small to large, only to be turned into a frozen chicken in the end. Fang Yulan replied, in the Duke of Zhou interprets dreams, dreaming of killing a chicken or eating chicken is a greatly auspicious event. Keaton nodded. Everyone prepared to set out, and Chen Zhen asked, did you find anything? JIXIAN, in the cave there are. Behind him, Xiang Cheng pressed his index finger against JIXIAN's shoulder, gently sketching out an X, indicating that he should not say anything. Xiang Cheng said, release the gray wolf and white deer. Kita and Zhou Wanyuan each formed their hand sigils, and their bodies began to glow with light. The light blue gray wolf and a white stag appeared in the air, running towards the depths of the passageway, lighting up the rest of their path. This should be a mine with a history of incidents in the western section of the Greater Qing'an Mountains, Chen Zhen said, holding Chen Lang's hand as they walked along slowly. I remember reading about it in some report on occult happenings. What incidents have happened? Kita asked, dogging JIXIAN's footsteps as he hid behind him, his voice quavering as he asked the question. They were each thinking about their own matters, and for a time, no one replied. Kita. JIXIAN touched Kita, and felt that all the hairs on the back of his arms were standing on end. With that, he reached out a finger and hooked it around Kita's pinky. Only with that did Kita calm down slightly, no longer trying to find something to say to keep up his courage. I see them, Zhou Wanyuan said, calling back the white deer. Very many strange things. Kita murmured, what is that? Xiang Cheng gestured that they could speak now, so JIXIAN explained, derivative bodies from the earth vein. At the same time, in a small tower in the midst of the mountains, the central headquarters of the practical exam. The clock on the wall clacked and jumped to 12 o'clock. Zhou Mokuo, Teacher Zheng, Great Master Jiao, and Lin Yuro were sitting in front of the sand plate of deduction. A ball of light was floating above the sand plate, and slivers of glowing threads drifted all around it, slowly merging with the ball. Zhou Mokuo's fingers tapped on the table. The sand moved as if it was alive, creating a formation on its own in the shape of the mountain ridge and the surrounding geography. A few portions of sand also formed into 9 differently colored points of light, which moved on their own within the mountains. Above the 4 practical examiners' heads, some 30+ mirrors floated in the air, slowly revolving around the ball of light in the center. The ball of light shot light at the mirrors, causing 27 of those mirrors to form 27 screens, like those of surveillance screens. Of those, 3 followed the movements of the Xiang Cheng Qi Wei group, the Kita Chen Zhen group, and the Zhou Wanyuan, Fang Yulan group at different angles. Teacher Zheng lifted his cane, and with a gentle prod, he turned and called Xiang Cheng's group's mirror down. A kind of spirit, the JIXIAN in the mirror explained. What kind of magic is this? Great Master Jiao asked Zhou Mokuo. What did they say just now? Teacher Zhou, did you hear what they said? Zhou Mokuo shrugged and said, some kind of investigation spell probably, I'm guessing that Xiang Cheng cast it. I suspect it's JIXIAN's magic, Great Master Jiao said, narrowing his eyes. The rules of the exam never mentioned that the hostages weren't allowed to help. Zhou Mokuo said. He also started the fire. They have to work together to escape danger, so if he used some kind of magic to probe the earth vein, that's also very normal. Xiang Cheng is very smart, Teacher Zheng couldn't help chuckling. Just now, he almost broke the rules, Lin Yura said expressionlessly. N. Zhou Mokuo replied. Xiang Jianhua's son is very cunning. Someone knocked on the door from the outside, and Wang Lei pushed the door open and came in, saying, the Xinyan group has officially failed. What happened just now? Great Master Qiao said darkly. Xiang Cheng's group learned that there were derivative spirits of the earth vein in the mine shaft, but when JIXIAN was about to mention that to Chen Zhen, he was stopped just in time. Xiang Cheng, Lin Yura said, pointing at JIXIAN. Derivative spirits. The one whose answer sheet got full marks. Wang Lei smiled as he sat down, unscrewing the lid of his bottle. Interesting. According to the rules, if two groups share information between themselves, in the end those points can only be counted for one group, Lin Yura said coldly. Xiang Cheng's reaction was very fast, and he told them to let out the grey wolf and white deer to scout ahead. With that, Gagantoru Akita and Zhou Wanyuan discovered the existence of the derivative spirits of the earth vein at the same time. Wang Lei chuckled. Smart. With this, that will count as the three groups all getting points simultaneously. But Lin Yura replied, petty tricks. These are not proper means to gain points. Teacher Zhou, what do you think? Zhou Mokuo began to chuckle. He shook his head and shrugged helplessly. This doesn't violate the rules of the exam. Let's look at the other groups. Teacher Zheng tapped his cane once more, and another mirror turned and lowered. This group's done for, Great Master Qiao said. They're still sleeping even now. What about the Dinghai group? Wang Lei asked. The group with the best prospects this year. Another mirror came down, displaying 6 people that had formed one group. They were currently traveling along the ridge of the mountain, using climbing ropes to clamber up. They didn't use any magic, Lin Yura said, lifting her chin slightly, to avoid rousing the blood pang sleeping in the mountain cave. Why not wake it now? Zhou Mokuo asked. Otherwise they'll be progressing too quickly. The two groups this year have both been progressing relatively fast, Great Master Qiao said, a faint bit of irony in his voice. Gagantoru Akita didn't even find the hostage last year. Zhou Mokuo first stretched out a finger and swirled it in the mountains, before moving to pick up something on the sand plate. That little bird immediately spread its wings, flying out from within the mountains. The reflection in the mirror immediately turned to chaos, and Teacher Zheng used his cane to tap lightly. The mirror turned back and flew towards Lin Yura. Xiang Cheng's group needs to be slowed down as well, Zhou Mokuo said. They're progressing too quickly. Send a Yao Guai Ba. Wang Lei pulled out a small box from within the drawer and picked out a glass marble. He handed it to Zhou Mokuo, who buried the marble in the sand. Then wake the wild spirits of the abyss. Zhou Mokuo said. Now that should be about enough. Teacher Zheng smiled as he shook his head. This year the exorcism exam must be filled with a great number of talents, for even these whatever wild spirits to be brought out. Bring out a mirror Yao Tu, Lin Yura said. That's not good, is it? Wang Lei said, the corners of his mouth twitching. Old Buddha, can they even pass this area? Zhou Mokuo smiled and held out a hand, so Wang Lei could only pick out a glass bead from within the box and place it in Zhou Mokuo's hand. Place it in the third trial, Lin Yura said matter-of-factly. Chen Zhen should be able to deal with them. Here's another group that's done for, Teacher Zheng said. Little Wang Lei, I'll have to trouble you again. Wang Lei had just come back, but he had no choice but to put his things down, push open the door, and make another trip. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. In the mine. They had reached the end of the path. In front of them was a cliff that had not yet been opened, and under their feet was a 1,000-foot drop into a deep abyss, of which they could not see the bottom. We can only go down from here, Kita said. There's no other way, but the area down there is filled with that kind of thing. What kind of thing? Lei Guangxi was still a little confused. Didn't you say there was something here? Why is it that the entire way here, there's been nothing? They've all run down there, Zhou Wanyuan said. Even if they didn't run, you wouldn't be able to see them. They're in soul form, so we'd best pass through here as quickly as possible. You should have stolen your father's artifact and brought it, Xiang Cheng said. I don't even know what my dad's artifact is. Zhou Wanyuan protested. Plus, even if I did manage to borrow it, I don't know how to use it. How can you not know? Chen Zhen said. Artifacts always recognize their master, and this one recognizes your Zhou family's bloodline. What I mean is, Zhou Wanyuan said, I can activate the teapot of time, but I don't know how to use it. It's not that I can't use it, but rather that I don't understand how to use it and when. My reactions aren't that quick to begin with, so I can't judge when exactly is the best time to use it. Plus, if I smash it, then I'm done for. What principle does it work by? Xiang Cheng asked. Have you seen it before? Zhou Wanyuan asked in return. I've heard of it, Xiang Cheng replied mildly. Such a foreign name. It has an even more westernized name, JIXIAN said. It should be called the pot of entropy or the pot of chaos. Its most impressive power isn't that it can slow down time, but rather that it can reverse events that have already happened. What? Even Chen Zhen couldn't understand. Things always devolve from being orderly to being disorderly, JIXIAN said by way of comparison. For example, you can go in the forward direction and smash a cup, which now turns into chaotic and disorderly. Orderly things will always develop in the direction of chaos. But that artifact can allow that smashed cup to head from chaos to an orderly state. Does that make sense? Can we not talk about wontons? I'm hungry, Zhou Wanyuan said expressionlessly. It's not that one, JIXIAN said. Can you even bring back people that died? Xiang Cheng asked. Not people that have been dead for a long time, JIXIAN explained, because the total amount of power and the total number of events that the pot of entropy can reverse are limited. I read about this theorem before in a book on artifacts. For example, if you wanted to revive Qin Shi Huang, then you'd have to turn the entire world back some thousands of years. Everything that happened in these few thousand years, everyone that died, everything that was destroyed, all the energy that was dispersed, all of that has to be restored to its original orderly state to have any meaning. What if it's for a short period of time? Kita asked. Let's say, someone got injured, and Teacher Zhou immediately turned back time. That'll depend on whether or not that person's power is strong, JIXIAN said. In theory, the stronger the individual, the harder it is for the pot of entropy to reverse the events that have happened to this individual. Xiang Cheng wasn't making a single sound, as if he was lost in thoughts. How do we get down? Chen Zhen peeked down into the abyss. This way is blocked, let's turn back. Chen Zhen then glanced at his watch. Right now it's only 1 o'clock. It took us 3 hours to get down here, and if we turn back now, we'll still make it. Climb down, Xiang Cheng said. Even if we turn back now, the road will have been sealed off by some coincidence. There were only a few protruding rocks that they could use as footholds along the precipice. If they aimed well before they leapt, there would be no issue, but if they missed by even a bit, they would break every bone in their body. Qi Wei pulled out a talisman, lit it up with a lighter and tossed it down. The light of the fire slowly sank, shining its light across an area of about 50 square meters in size. There was a platform made of metal, which was a portion of the metal ladder in the mineshaft that led towards higher ground. On the cliff facing them, there was a metal door. Climb bot, Zhou Wanyuan said. You can't, Xiang Cheng said darkly. Don't climb, Chen Zhen said as well. That rusty ladder will cause too much of commotion. What if we use a magic spell to descend? Zhou Huanyuan asked. If you feel like that's suitable, then you can try, Xiang Cheng replied. But before the enemies show up, it's best not to randomly use magic. Xiang Cheng's words woke the dreamers from their dream. JIXIAN had also realized an implicit rule of this practical exam, which had remained constant basically their entire way here. In a situation where there were no Yaoguai, if they wanted to take a shortcut and use magic without careful deliberation, they could draw unwanted attention to themselves. Those were not difficulties caused by battles, but rather by the fact that, without using any artifacts, they had to use their minds to break through. Zhou Huanyuan didn't insist either, saying, then let's go with your idea. JIXIAN pulled out a rope from his bag. Xiang Cheng spread his hand out, the Yao binding rope appeared within his grasp. Let's tie it around ourselves, Chen Zhen said. Who knows what's down there? It's always better to have double the protection. Xiang Cheng glanced at Chen Zhen, before tying the rope to a hook at the entrance of the cavern. Kita went first, scouting the path ahead, and behind him was Qi Wei, then Xiang Cheng and JIXIAN. After them was Chen Zhen. That line of people slowly headed downwards. There's something down there, JIXIAN said, very quietly, pressed up against Xiang Cheng's ear. SHH, Xiang Cheng said. Do you think it'll wake up? JIXIAN asked quietly. Xiang Cheng turned his head back and glanced down, only to hear a woo-woo sound. It seemed to be the wind, but it also sounded like some kind of monster. End chapter. Post-training notice. National First Class Registered Exorcist. Chapter 54. Betrayal. In the little hut in the woods, Zhou Mokuo steeped a cup of strong tea and observed everyone's movements. The sand table had been magnified to show the pit in the mines. Based on what they do in the movies. Lin Yura had just reached her hand into the sand table and was on the verge of rudely poking that sleeping monster awake. However, when JIXIAN said that, the old Buddha pulled back her outstretched hand and listened doubtfully to the two people talk. The main character at this time should fall into the abyss, scared but not actually in any danger, JIXIAN said in all apparent seriousness into Xiang Cheng's ear. Xiang Cheng at this time was piggybacking JIXIAN and clambering down extremely slowly. And then? Qi Wei asked below. And then someone will lose something, and there will be a dang sound, JIXIAN said, just like last time when Xiang Cheng and I went to capture the Chai Wen, and woke it up. You remember that now? Qi Wei asked, lifting his head up as he and Kita moved around on the platform. JIXIAN replied. You're right, Xiang Cheng said, so, let's switch it up this time. Hug me tight. Saying that, Xiang Cheng kicked his feet towards the cliff and flew up with the entire rope. Xiang Cheng arced through the air, along with Chen Lang on Chen Zhen's back, Zhou Huanyuan, Fang Yulan, and Lei Guangxi. Everyone. The long string of people hadn't even had time to react yet, and even JIXIAN hadn't returned to his senses when Xiang Cheng flew out into the air. He took out a Ziploc bag from his duffel bag, and then repeatedly shook it towards the bottom. All the soybeans scattered out at once, flying out with a golden light, forming a river of stars in the dark. Then, Xiang Cheng completely loosened the rope, sent out a stone guardian, and chanted an incantation. The stone guardian roared and flew out, but it couldn't find its target, and so it flew wildly through the air. The roar of the stone guardian rang through the abyss, and the monster at the bottom immediately woke up and let out another roar. Huge tentacles flew up from the ground and instantly smashed the spiritual form of the airborne stone guardian into pieces. Are you crazy? Zhou Huanyuan screamed. Run! Kita roared. More and more tentacles appeared, and the largest dark tentacle shook even the earth itself as it lashed out along the cliffside. The top of the cave began to collapse, and boulders kept falling. Xiang Cheng shouted, Xiaoduo, grab onto the rope. JIXIAN fell with Xiang Cheng, but he hugged his waist with one hand in a deathly tight grip. Xiang Cheng opened up the umbrella with a huala sound, and JIXIAN grabbed the rope, flying to the opposite cliff with the rest of them in tow. A tentacle came lashing out from below like a squid blasting out ink, slamming right in the middle of the iron ladder at the edge of the mine. The iron ladder screeched, and the nails collapsed and popped out. Kita and Chi Wei held onto the railing of the platform tightly, and the iron ladder fell askew towards the opposite side. The tentacles looked for targets all over the place and smacked away the shining golden beans in the air everywhere, but ignored the exorcists who were using the path. Xiang Cheng wrapped the Yao-binding rope around his wrist, taking everyone on the rope with him as they spun around the iron ladder, wrapping around it. The tilted iron ladder now formed a bridge. Kita was the first to react, flipping up onto the iron ladder and running towards the opposite side of the bridge. The iron ladder collapsed towards the opposite cliff. Xiang Cheng stepped on the iron ladder and said to JIXIAN, "Head to the opposite side." JIXIAN's head was spinning, and he began to run on the ladder. Chi Wei shouted behind him, "Move!" Xiang Cheng ran up after him, wrapped one hand around JIXIAN's waist, jumped to the side, grabbed the ladder with one hand, and spun around. Just as they flew away from the ladder, a glowing fire dragon flew up from behind and charged at the iron door opposite them. The iron door exploded, the two steel plates completely blown apart. Another tentacle flew towards them, waving around wildly in midair. "It's sensitive to light," JIXIAN shouted in the middle of this chaos. Quicker than words could tell, everyone cast their spells together. Chen Zhen's heart lamp focused its light, and Zhou Wanyuan threw out a mirror and shouted, "Go!" The mirror spun at high speed in the air, and Chen Zhen's heart lamp glowed with a bright light as it shot at the mirror. The light jumped around and refracted on the rapidly rotating mirror, and a halo appeared on the cave wall. Thousands of tentacles flew out from the bottom at the same time and slammed wildly against the cave wall. Xiang Cheng and JIXIAN were the first to rush to the cave on the opposite side, followed by Chi Wei and Kita, who had taken over for Chen Zhen and carried Chen Lang in his arms, both taking a flying leap and landing safely. Zhou Wanyuan then rushed over, followed by Lei Guangxi and Fang Yulan. When Chen Zhen ran over to them, a tentacle flew out with a shua, curled around the iron ladder, and violently pulled it down. Everyone shouted in unison, and Chen Lang rushed out, but was dragged back by Kita. In a blink of an eye, Chen Zhen jumped into the air, past the tentacles, and landed on the back half of the ladder, holding onto the falling iron ladder with both hands. Xiang Cheng didn't even look before undoing the Yao-binding rope. One end wrapped around Kita's waist, and the other end flew to Chen Zhen and wrapped around his waist. Kita dragged Chen Zhen back. Chen Lang, who was holding onto him, almost collapsed from fright and leaned against the wall of the cave, panting. The whole team had almost died thanks to Xiang Cheng's antics. Xiang Cheng, on the other hand, had a cold expression on as he stared outside the cave. "Come inside," Xiang Cheng said coldly. "Are you insane?" Zhou Wanyuan said angrily. In a blink of an eye, Xiang Cheng shook out the demon-subduing staff and let out a loud shout. In the same second, another tentacle appeared from the bottom of the abyss and with a shua, started to wrap towards Lei Guangxi, who was at the end of the team. However, before it could touch him, Xiang Cheng struck with the staff and nailed it firmly to the cave wall. The tentacle exploded into black smoke, and the lower half of it disappeared. "I'm not." Xiang Cheng collected the staff and nodded politely at Zhou Wanyuan. Everyone. Everything had happened so fast that Lei Guangxi hadn't even realized how close he had come to being swept away by a tentacle. Xiang Cheng and the monster in the abyss had made their counter-attacks at the same time, in that second where there was no way to tell who was faster and who was slower. Even Fang Yulan was completely convinced and said, with lingering fear, "Thank you, great immortal." "No need for thanks," Xiang Cheng said casually, "I'm just returning that favor from that day back to you." JIXIAN followed behind Xiang Cheng, going down into the depths of the cave. He looked around and said, "There shouldn't be anything else here, so at least we can take a breather." "How did you know that that last tentacle would fly over? Isn't it always like that in the movies?" Xiang Cheng's eyebrows twitched as he said this to JIXIAN. JIXIAN started laughing. Zhou Huanyuan was still curious in the back and asked, what kind of favor was he returning? Fang Yulan replied, "He didn't hear his name during the roll call, and I reminded him." Zhou Huanyuan. Everyone rested for a bit before setting forth again. This time, everyone was more scared than hurt, and even though they complained inwardly about Xiang Cheng, they had no choice but to treat him as their leader. After all, that last move was so beautiful that even Chen Zhen hadn't expected it. ******. In the little house in the woods. Zhou Mokuo held the teacup and laughed with a big ha-ha. Lin Yura really hadn't expected Xiang Cheng to actually act first, and was at a complete loss about what to do. "Look at the rest of the group spot," Zhou Mokuo said, "they should stop and prepare." Lin Yura snapped her fingers and summoned several mirrors. The Exorcist team that had been rock climbing just now had already been broken up, and one of the groups was looking for their hostage. Teacher Zhen yawned and was pleased as punch as he said, "Today's young people are very interesting." "No, it's just that this tactic is already outdated," Master Chiao said. In the mountainside, Xiang Cheng and the others entered a huge limestone cave. Not far away, they heard the sound of water. JIXIAN updated his entry while walking and recorded it as a photosensitive abyss monster. "See what else is in your bag," Xiang Cheng said to JIXIAN. "There's something in the water," JIXIAN whispered. "I feel it," Xiang Cheng replied. "Don't say anything, it'll be a breach of the rules if we tell them. Don't stop, keep walking." An opened lunch meat can, pliers, a little gasoline, a saw, some instant ramen, and a lighter. JIXIAN replied. "Give me the pliers," Xiang Cheng whispered. Xiang Cheng took out the Yao binding rope and wrapped it around the tips of the needle nose pliers. JIXIAN watched curiously. "Hungry?" Xiang Cheng asked. "A little," JIXIAN said. "We can eat breakfast very soon," Xiang Cheng said. "Let's have a rest, ba." Everyone stop for a bit and have some water, Kita said. Chen Zhen and Xiang Cheng looked at each other. Xiang Cheng narrowed his eyes slightly and waved his hand imperceptibly. Chen Zhen nodded. "Let's think of a way to cross the river," Chen Zhen said behind him. "It's already 3 o'clock, let's rest for a bit." Everyone sat down, completely exhausted, but Xiang Cheng led JIXIAN along without saying a word. He got up and began to run. Then he turned a corner along the river and shouted, "Jump!" In the cabin in the forest, Master Chiao was looking at the mirror of their 3 teams and looked at Xiang Cheng in disbelief. "Chase!" Kita was eating an apple. Suddenly, Chen Zhen also got up, pulled at Chen Lang, chased after Xiang Cheng, and started running. What now? Zhou Huanyuan had just sat down and everyone had run away. Xiang Cheng was about to make her a nervous wreck. "I don't know," Fang Yulan said. Great Immortal Xiang started running. Then, Xiang Cheng and JIXIAN jumped towards the middle of the underground river, swinging out the Yao binding rope. The needle nose pliers pinned one end of the rope to the roof of the cave, and both of them grabbed the rope and swung. They leapt over the 10-meter wide river and flew across to the other bank. Next, the Yao binding rope automatically flew towards Chen Zhen, Chen Lang, and Kita, and it wrapped around them to tug them over. The little cabin in the woods. Lin Yura. Zhou Mokuo was drinking tea. He accidentally glanced over at the mirror and was immediately stunned. The underground river began to boil and bubble, and a huge leviathan rose out of the water. However, Zhou Huanyuan, at the tail end of the team, was already in mid-air, flying past its head and stepping on it. The Yao binding rope flew in from the opposite side, wrapped around Zhou Wanyuan's wrist, and dragged her over. Bye-bye. JIXIAN waved at the monster in the water. The monster. Run. Xiang Cheng said. Everyone began to wildly dash downstream again. Kita looked back and said, "What's that?" "Who the hell knows?" Chi Wei said, "It's a monster." "Run, ba." JIXIAN was out of breath from running, and Xiang Cheng picked him up and continued to run. "Director Chen can't keep up," Kita cried. Xiang Cheng finally slowed down, and a dissatisfied roar sounded in the distance. Everyone had left the monster in the dust just like that. "You are really too." Zhou Wanyuan held onto a stalactite and gasped. "In the world of martial arts," Xiang Cheng replied, "speed determines the winner." Asterisk asterisk asterisk. In the limestone cave. In this kind of place, shouldn't we stop and find some water? Zhou Wanyuan asked. JIXIAN said, "Right, so there should usually be monsters here too, ba." Fang Yulan held her forehead in one hand and asked after a moment, "What kind of monster was that? Did you guys see it?" "I don't know." Zhou Wanyuan said, "Some kind of water monster, ba, maybe it was even transported all the way from thousands of li away to be placed in this river. It's really very pitiful, it didn't even get a chance to show its face." Xiang Cheng continued to walk. JIXIAN was too sleepy to even keep his eyes open. Xiang Cheng walked with JIXIAN on his back for a solid half hour, and they finally came out of the exit of the underground river. "Look, it's sunrise," Xiang Cheng said. JIXIAN climbed down, bleary-eyed, and sat on a stone with Xiang Cheng to watch the sunrise. They had actually crossed the entire underside of the mountain, and were now facing the route laid out by Xiang Cheng. Chen Zhen looked at his watch, it was 6:40. Everyone stretched a bit, and Xiang Cheng looked at Chen Zhen with an inquiring look in his eyes. "Keep going?" Chi Wei asked. Kita yawned and said, "Let's listen to great immortal Xiang Ba, us otaku are basically scum at practical experience." Zhou Wanyuan was also completely convinced now and said, "I'll just listen to you guys and hold onto your thighs." "Let's go." Xiang Cheng replied, "Let's go up the mountain first, and after going up, walk along the ridge and sleep in the valley where the peaks connect." They first looked at the map. JIXIAN and Chen Lang leaned against each other and dozed off. Xiang Cheng analyzed the whole route and decided to rest at the low point between the two X's. "Actually, I wanted to take the slow route," Chen Zhen said to Xiang Cheng. "I know what you mean," Xiang Cheng replied. "Why?" JIXIAN asked vaguely. Chen Zhen explained, "Taking the fast route will certainly attract the attention of the examiners, and they may add strange things to suppress us. That's why Kita kept talking about resting and didn't want to move this quickly. On the other hand, those who act in moderation, whose progress falls at the very end, won't be put through such trials. As long as there are enough spots, they'll turn a blind eye to you and let you pass." "Woo." JIXIAN rubbed his eyes and said, "So, are we going to sleep now?" "No, we can't," Xiang Cheng said ahead without looking back. "A long night is filled with many dreams, and there may be changes late in the game." Chen Zhen asked, "Do you suspect something?" "No," Xiang Cheng said calmly. JIXIAN. "You sleep." Xiang Cheng said, 1, 2, 3, sleep. N. JIXIAN seemed to be under a hypnosis spell and fell asleep easily. In the little cabin in the woods, Jomokyo was almost about to fall over from laughing. Lin Yura actually couldn't do anything against Xiang Cheng. "Get ready for a shift change, ba." Jomokyo got up and said. The examiners got up, and Master Chiao went out. Jomokyo said, "Shall I drive you over?" Master Chiao waved his hand and said, "I'll go down slowly." Then Teacher Zheng leaned on his cane and said, "This old man will leave first." Take your time. Everyone hurriedly saluted him. I'll take teacher Zheng down the mountain. Lin Yura said, I'll make it back before dusk. Wang Lei took off the key on the wall and gave it to Lin Yura. He said, Old Buddha, take my car, and get some gas while you're at it. Lin Yura took the key and looked at Zhou Mokuo. Zhou Mokuo stood outside the cabin, moved his shoulders, and said, Sorry to trouble teacher Wang. Not at all, not at all, Wang Lei laughed. Yeah, a girl's voice said, I came late, sorry, sorry. You've made us wait for a while, and teacher Zheng laughed. Dishuman, Lin Yura said unhappily, how come you only came up now? The girl's hair was drawn up in a bun with a phoenix hairpin stuck through it, and she explained, I ran into a Yao general, and we talked for a bit. As she said that, she came forward and embraced teacher Zheng. Then she pulled at Lin Yura's hand, but as soon as their hands touched, she pulled hers back. Wordlessly, she took Lin Yura's bracelet off and put it on her wrist. So it's up to me and teacher Wang Lei now? Dishuman asked. Keep watch ba, Lin Yura said, Master Chiao has already gone down the mountain, and I'm going to send teacher Zheng back to Ulanhat. His disciples are waiting for him. All right, Dishuman replied. Teacher Wang, take good care of me la. You flatter me, Wang Lei smiled humbly and said, we'll be relying on teacher D's family heirloom. Outside the cabin, the car drove away, and the examiners changed shifts. Dishuman sat in front of the sand table and murmured, 17 teams are left, teacher Zhou is really cruel. Wang Lei laughed loudly with a ha-ha and said, jade cannot be made into a tool without being polished first. Dishuman laughed secretly, shook her head, adjusted the individual mirrors, and observed each group one by one. The team in the wild had pretty much woken up, moving around and getting ready to continue. After a night, nearly half of the candidates had been eliminated by various Yaogwai. Yi. Dishuman said, why aren't the light eyes on Xiang Cheng's group moving? On the mountain path, the light orb had stopped. There was only the scenery of the mountains, and the people were already gone. Has something gone wrong? Wang Lei said, should I go take a look? Dishuman opened the door and shouted, Teacher Zhou. Zhou Mokuo was frying eggs on the portable gas stove outside the cabin. He let out a hey, and Dishuman said, the light eyes on Xiang Cheng's group didn't follow them. I'll go take a look. Zhou Mokuo came over, confirmed the specific location of the light eye on the sand table, turned off the stove, and went out. The mountain road was steep and difficult to walk on. There were few people in the non-tourist area of the Arkan Mountains, and many of these places hadn't been visited by anyone since the earth had been born. JIXIAN slept for a long time, before opening his bleary eyes to the sound of someone shouting. No. Come down first. Xiang Cheng said to JIXIAN. JIXIAN stood on the ground and found that there was an abyss-like cliff under his feet. The whole cliff had already completely collapsed, and there were stones that seemed that they might roll down at any time. There was no way to make a bridge using the roof of the cavern, nor were there any load-bearing points along the cavern walls. There's another way. Chen Zhen said, let's go that way, and it'll just take a bit more time. Xiang Cheng raised his hand and signaled that he understood. Meet you guys in the morning the day after tomorrow. Kita yelled. Without saying a word, Xiang Cheng turned and left. Before JIXIAN could react, Xiang Cheng moved to piggyback him again, but JIXIAN waved to say no need and got off to walk. So, Qi Wei opened up the way in front, while Xiang Cheng and JIXIAN walked slowly along the barely passable road on the cliff. What just happened? JIXIAN asked, puzzled. The way behind us collapsed. Qi Wei turned his head and said. We'll go down up ahead. Xiang Cheng said, then rest a bit. Qi Wei tied a rope on a tree that was half dug out and descended down. He pulled at the rope, and Xiang Cheng and JIXIAN slid down the rope and took back the Yao binding rope. How beautiful! JIXIAN said. The mountains were in the shape of a cross, and this was a valley between the two ridges. Thanks to the erosion of an ancient glacier, a beautiful lake had formed in the center. After the night passed, the dark clouds over the Arkan Mountains had retreated, and the sun came out. Its light shone down on the lake, making it sparkle. They sat down by the lake. Qi Wei looked at his watch. It was 8:30 in the morning. Rest until 3 p.m. Xiang Cheng said, replenish your strength, eat something first, and I'll go find firewood. There's a saw. JIXIAN found the saw and gave it to Xiang Cheng. Xiang Cheng wanted to leave, but he glanced again at Qi Wei. You go, ba. Qi Wei said, or shall I go? I'll go. Xiang Cheng said. JIXIAN felt that the atmosphere between the two of them was a little strange, as if they were hiding something from each other, but Xiang Cheng didn't say a word and directly turned away to leave. Left behind, Qi Wei drew water by the lake, took off his tank top, washed it, and wrung it dry. Do you want to wash your clothes? Qi Wei asked. JIXIAN replied, yes. His body was covered in sticky sweat. JIXIAN took off his t-shirt and handed it to Qi Wei. Qi Wei attentively washed his clothes by the lake, and JIXIAN thought it looked funny. Qi Wei asked, what's funny? I hadn't expected that you could wash clothes. JIXIAN said. JIXIAN got up and came over. Qi Wei seemed to be using some magic, and two figures in camouflage clothes were reflected in the lake. One stood by the tree with firewood in his hand, and the other appeared behind the tree. They seemed to be talking about something to each other. From JIXIAN's point of view, he couldn't see what Qi Wei was observing or see the two people's faces. However, when JIXIAN came over, Qi Wei immediately ended the spell. Who is that? JIXIAN asked curiously. No one. Qi Wei waved and washed his clothes in the water. Is that a water mirror? JIXIAN asked. N. Qi Wei said, you know about it? JIXIAN had read about this kind of magic in a book. By using the connective properties of water, you could connect to any place where it was. When Qi Wei cast his spell, the hundreds of puddles that may exist nearby would reflect their respective images. If someone was near a puddle, the image would be transmitted to the lake in front of Qi Wei. End chapter.